against San Diego. 6 innings, no runs in St. Louis. And then his most recent outing in New York, he was taken out after 5 2/3 innings and only 85 pitches and did not allow a single run.
Well, each of those 3 games, as you said, Tom, on the road. Here he comes back to Great American Ballpark this afternoon. Let's take a look at what his scouting report is right now, because over the years his report has changed slightly. He's got a deceptive fastball that he's throwing now, more four-seam fastballs up in the zone. He's getting some strikeouts, in fact, more than a strikeout an inning right now. Curveballs instead of sliders. That's a big change for him. And the new delivery, we've talked about it a little bit, and I've had a chance to discuss this with Anthony from time to time this season, getting more and more comfortable, getting the ball out of your hand, up behind your right ear a lot quicker, shortening what was a long arm delivery, and I think it's really helped him.
All righty, we are set to go. Let's take a look at Bruce Bochy's starting lineup, presented by Furniture Fair. Panic, Duggar to the 2-hole, and Vogt the nod behind the plate. Belt, Sandoval again for Longoria, and Pilar in center. Crawford the hero last night for the Giants. Gerber in left, and Drew Pomeranz makes his 7th start on the mound. So here we go. DeSclafani v. Panic to get us started on this Monday afternoon. And strike one, we're underway. So rare indeed to have a Monday 12:35 first pitch. Most of the time this would be a Wednesday or a Thursday getaway.
Or a Sunday.
Or a Sunday. Panic, a weak pop-up, could be trouble here. But the shortstop got a good jump. Iglesias, one away. And a new look defensively for the Reds, presented by Ford. How about Peraza getting the nod against the left-hander out in left field? Puig back in there, and again Senzel, 4th straight game. Kyle Farmer a start at second base, and Casale behind the plate.
Well, the Reds basically trying to get every left-handed hitter out of the lineup that they possibly can this side of Joey Votto. Curious lineup to say the least, but obviously, you know, you're going with the left-handed, right-handed odds here.
Today for Farmer, by the way, is his first ever career start as a second baseman. He has made 8 appearances at that position, and all of them have come this year as a member of the Reds. 0-1 to Duggar, who has just had an excellent series. 1 for 3, scored a run yesterday, was on base 3 times in the 9-2 Reds win, and in the series opener, that wild game won by the Giants 12-11. He had 3 hits, scored a run, knocked in 3. And right through the shift into right center field, a base hit.
You know, if you're going to remember anything about Duggar, it's going to be that this guy likes the ball down in the zone. I mean, he just drops the head, puts the barrel on it, doesn't overswing. That's right in the sweet spot there, and he finds a gap in that right side of the infield. Even though there are 3 players over there with gloves, he's able to pick up another base hit. Finally got moved down to the number 8 spot. He was probably wondering what it had to take to get moved up into the lineup here today. He's batting second.
And by the way, we just gave you a sniff of that interview with Bruce Bochy that Chris was able to do, and boy, it was great stuff. And we will run that interview in its entirety when the Reds are playing against the Giants next weekend. So you want to make sure to check that out during Reds Live. It's hard to believe he's going to walk away, isn't it?
It is, but you know, the more you talk to him, I've had a chance to visit with him now a lot over the last couple of years. He really believes it's time, but he does not rule out him coming back to manage somewhere. I mean, in this interview, he even talked about maybe going back to his roots, going back to managing an A-ball or managing a high school team. He just loves that position of being a manager, and boy, he could do a lot of people some good if he stayed in the game.
No question. Here now, Stephen Vogt. What an impact he has made. And his first 3 games as a Giant. Hit the big home run off Iglesias. His Giants debut to tie the game in the 9th inning here on Friday night. He's got a couple of runs batted in, a double, 3 of 5 to start his Giants career. Fastball knee high on a 3-0 pitch, taking all the way is Vogt. DeSclafani making his 4th career start against the Giants. He faced him one time last year, and my oh my was he good in that one. Down the left field line into the corner, and that is a foul ball. DeSclafani went 7 2/3 innings, allowed 1 run on 6 hits. Reds won that game 2-1 in 11 innings here in Cincinnati. His other 2 starts against the Giants in 2015 and 2016, and in 8 innings he gave up 11 earned runs. Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw to second base, and he is safe. Vogt is out of there on strikes, and give Duggar his 2nd steal in 4 attempts.
Boy, nice comeback there for DeSclafani. Went behind in the count, 3 balls and no strikes. Finally gets a strikeout right here. The Giants will put Duggar in motion. And what a pick at the other end by by Jose Iglesias. Boy, he just gave him a little. You know, they're going to take a look at that because it looks like the slide came in and the foot of Steven Duggar actually went onto the foot of Jose Iglesias instead of onto the bag right there. Take another look at how it goes in there. Touches the foot, never. And it depends when that heel was on the bag and if he actually did come off a little bit. So a B delay and a replay delay. We'll see if the umpires will overturn this or if they will let it be.
It appears as though his foot comes off the bag there, and Iglesias wisely staying with the tag. Yep. You had a chance to go visit the replay center in New York on the just completed road trip.
Great experience, really. I mean, the technology that they have there, the number of people that they have dedicated to making sure that they get the call right, and I can envision right now. And our producer, Josh Hall, director Brian Hunterman, C. Trent Rosecrans went along with us on that trip, and we were treated really to a full hour of explanation as to exactly how the replay center works. How they're able to slow down video that I didn't know they had the capability of doing, and really giving you some great angles to see whether you get the call right or not, and they're going to call him out.
How about that? That's another example, though, of just such an alert play by a veteran Iglesias. Always staying with the tag because of the momentum with the runner. Come off momentarily, you still
get on base and let them hit me in. If you're going to have a guy that throws a lot of strikes, you want to be aggressive, and if not, then you kind of just adjust. But I'm going to be aggressive. I like being aggressive at the leadoff spot. So, if it doesn't give me a pitch to hit, then I'll take a walk.
Words of Nick Senzel once he found out he would be in the leadoff spot. We've seen him bat in a different spot in the batting order every game since he's been brought up. He hit 2nd in his first game. He hit 6th. He hit 5th, and now he leads off in game number 4. The question is, in reference to what he just said, does Pomeranz throw enough strikes to go up there and be aggressive?
Well, that's up to the hitter to figure out what the game plan is and then read the pitches out of his hand.
Senzel, a fly ball in a deep right field, and that's being aggressive. The first strike you see, you play long ball.
Boy, Nick Senzel at the top of the lineup gives the Reds a little bit of a dimension that they have not had in a long, long time in a leadoff hitter, which is a combination of speed and power. How about this opposite field blast right here to get it all going?
Senzel has 3 hits and 12 at bats since being called up. 2 of the 3 are home runs. And now Joey Votto down strike 1.
It'll be interesting to see if that home run, opposite field home run, affects Drew Pomerantz, the pitcher, as much as it affected Jeff Samardzija yesterday in the first inning. After that ball went out the bat of Suarez yesterday, he looked like he was very careful about where he threw the ball, squeezed a couple of pitches tightly, and that's when the Reds went back to back to back. He really buckled down after that and pitched a whale of a game to keep the Giants in it.
Well, did he ever.
But that first inning, you could see that he was really unnerved. And that's just the fact of pitching here in Great American Ballpark. Of course, Pomerantz pitched in Colorado, so he knows all about the ball flying.
10 of the last 13 hits the Reds have collected have been home runs. And that is since coming back here to Cincinnati. There's a soft roller to the right side. Going to be a do-or-die play. And safe as a call at first. So Votto's last 2 hits have been a little check swing flare into center yesterday, and now this dribbler that Pomerantz can't get to.
Yeah, you find a way to get on base. Pomerantz falls off towards third base. He can't get to it. And Panic is playing so deep in right field there that he can't get to that little slow roller either. Good hustle by Votto.
Yep. So Votto, the roller for an infield hit, and now Suarez. The Reds had back-to-back-to-back home runs in that first inning that Chris made reference to yesterday off Samardzija. And they would not get another hit off Samardzija over his next 4 innings. They would not get another hit until there were 2 outs in the 9th inning, and Kyle Farmer hit a home run off Will Smith. Reds had 5 hits and 4 runs in the first inning. 1 hit, no runs until the 9th. It's been a while since the Reds have seen Pomerantz. Got to go all the way back to the 2016 season here at Great American Ballpark. And really hard to put stock in numbers when a guy has not faced a team, because there are a number of these Reds that going back to 2016 were not putting on the Reds uniform daily. When you look at the lineup today, Senzel not here, Votto was, Puig was not, Farmer was not, Iglesias was not, Casali was not. You get the picture. Only Votto and Suarez were in the lineup that day. One ball and 2 strikes on Suarez. And laid off. Pomerantz coming off a highly shaky outing. Their only loss in the series against the Dodgers. Allowed 3 runs in a season low 4 innings. And a high fly ball out of play. Suarez has homered in each of the last 2 games, and each time coming in his first or second at bat. A 3-run home run in the 2nd inning here a couple of days ago, and then the 2-run home run to right yesterday. That came in the 1st inning.
The Giants are hoping to catch a little lightning in the bottle. We're here with Drew Pomerantz. He had 2 very good seasons in a row with Boston and a little bit with San Diego. In fact, he won 17 games just a couple of years ago, went 17-6 for the Red Sox. Last year it all went bad for him. Had some major injuries, sat down a lot, ended up being a long man in the bullpen. Giants signed him in January on the cheap. He's not a guy that'll really blow you away anymore, although he was never a high-velocity fastball pitcher. He always was mainly a good fastball with an excellent curveball. Scouting report now, 91 is his fastball, and plenty of incentive. What I mean by that is that when they signed a contract with the Giants, it's a major incentive, heavy-laden contract. So a lot of things can happen when you're in that situation as a player. You know, number one, you get off to a great start, and you're going to start meeting your incentives. Number two, you get off to a great start, and the team decides to trade you before you have to get to some of those more lengthy incentives. And a typical incentive would be the number of games you pitch in or the number of innings you pitch in. Incentive clauses in baseball are not tracked or tied to performance. For instance, number of wins or earned run average. You can have performance about all-star appearances and things like that, though.
Trying to remember, though, who the pitcher is that I just read the story recently, that it's something that's gone on for a while, but no one had heard of it being used in quite a while, where they're creating a point system for a pitcher, where they're including all those kinds of things you're talking about, everything, and you get a certain number of points along the way, and then those will determine your incentives, rather than just picking some random number, innings pitched, whatever it might be, games. Has Suarez done it for a third straight game, left center field, and he has a home run in 3 straight games. 11th pitch of the at-bat by Eugenio Suarez, and that's number 10.
Now, for the second day in a row, the Reds hitters have basically ambushed the Giants starting pitcher. There were 4 in yesterday against Samardzija before he recorded an out, and 3 of them now, 2 of them on that home run, the left center field by Suarez.
Well, they've ambushed the starter in every game. They got 3 in the first inning, game 1 against BB. They got 1 in the first, 2 in the second, or 4 in the second against Rodriguez. You mentioned the 4 spot yesterday in the first inning, and here we are 3-0 after 3 batters today with 2 home runs. Got to go back to 2017 since the Reds in 4 consecutive games have scored in the opening inning, and that's even become more of a trend longer than just these 4 games. We saw it frequently over the last 10 to 12 games, where the Reds were not doing it at all the first 3 weeks. The Reds had hit 7 home runs in the first or second inning in the 4 games of this series. I only bring that up. The Giants have not hit a single home run in the first 3 innings of a game all year long. Not one time. And the Reds have 7 in this series alone. Puig, a ground ball to the shortstop, 1 away. Take a look at the rest of the Reds starting lineup presented by Furniture Fair. What do you think of all these changes here today, Chris? You mentioned why already.
Well, I mean, yeah, it looks like a matchup day to me, and the Reds have gone that way a lot. I mean, we've seen matchups being played out of the Reds bullpen, and there's no reason to think that they're going to get away from that. And this is, you know, basically getting the left-handers out of there, getting the right-handers who need some playing time a chance to play. Casale, Kyle Farmer gets a start, first time ever second base this year anyway, and even moving Jose Peraza to left field. The only thing I think curious about that is that if you've got any young players that you think are going to be middle of the lineup hitters from now on, you know, Jesse Winker's the guy I'm really referring to. This would be an opportunity for him to get him out there and let him play a little bit against a left-hander. Because I think lefty on lefty makes that left-handed hitter a better hitter when he finally faces a righty, because you're concentrating more. You're trying to stay in there on the curveball. But I mean, it's easy to sit up here and you know, discuss the reasons why you would do something different. The only opinion that matters is David Bell.
Well, here's a guy that certainly has made a statement to get a look from time to time, and that would be Farmer. When you consider that Kyle Farmer has a total of 33 at-bats all year long, and most regular players are in the 110, 120 at-bat total at this point, this guy has 33. He has 5 home runs and 11 runs batted in, and he's just drawn a 1-out walk. He has homered, in fact, twice in this series. That one off Vincent. That came in the Reds' 9-2 win, and then with 2 outs in the 9th inning against Smith yesterday. 8 hits, 5 home runs, and 11 knocked in. And he continues now for Iglesias, and there goes a runner, Farmer, and he's easily in there. How about that?
Good scouting and taking advantage of it. I mean, when I say by good scouting, there's so much data out there, and it could be that Drew Pomeranz does not throw over to first base before he delivers the first pitch. Or maybe there's something in his set windup that alerts you to when he's throwing over, when he's going home. So that was looked like a no-brainer right there, all pre-planned.
And that is a fair ball the other way off Iglesias' bat. This will easily score Farmer. And Iglesias had shut it down. Now he's trying to turn it into a 3-base hit, and he's lucky he'll get there. The right fielder, Duggar, had some troubles down there, and Iglesias had shut it down. We'll see if they rule that a double and an error or a 3-base hit. It is a triple.
Well, right down the right field line, and boy, the slumping shoulders of the pitcher Pomeranz now as he's going to give up his 4th run in this inning. Kicked around a little bit down there by Duggar, and you see kind of the cruise into second base by Iglesias, but when he sees that bobble, he'll head on over to third.
First 3-base hit of the year for Iglesias, and the pitching coach Kurt Young out for a visit. Talked about the Giants. They've only scored 2 runs in the first inning all year long. They've allowed the most, 32, but give them credit. Hey, 2 of the 3 games in this series, they fell behind big time, doing no damage early on and a lot of damage later on.
Well, in the 3 games in this series, they have trailed by 8, 7, and 4, and they've turned 2 of those deficits into game wins.
Casale looks at ball 1, the 7th batter in this Reds first inning. 4 runs, 4 hits, and a walk. And the Giants bring their infield in. You just have to give so much credit most times when you're rooting for your home team. You so infrequently don't want to do it, and you don't want to hear about it. As there's a base hit by Casale to make it 5-0. Casale with his 6th run knocked in just 43 at bats. Look at the Giants. Their defense running all over the place, but you can't run over the wall. Same outfield we've seen the entire series. Crawford came up off the bench, a pinch hit home run to beat the Reds yesterday. Back in there today and vote his first start for Buster Posey. But it's amazing sitting up here where we are, and best seat in the house, and thankful to have it, that to think the Giants have won 2 of the 3 games in this series is almost beyond mind-boggling. But we sat here and saw it. Yeah,
and believe it.
You really did, and I'm not even sure, being here you believe it. Peraza a fly ball, but we know that is reality. Second out of the inning, and this will be the 9th man to bat, and that's the pitcher, Anthony DeSclafani. Reds bringing the energy, brought to you by IGS. With 2 outs here, offense, look what they've done in the first 23 games compared to the last 11 games. The most 2-out runs in the National League.
Second time in this 4-game series a Red starting pitcher has batted in the first inning. That's always a good sign.
Well, you would think so. Unfortunately, yesterday Castillo hit in the first inning and didn't go well, starting right around the 6th inning. I mean, Castillo working on a no-hitter. He was asked after the game, by the way, if he knew he had a no-hitter going into that 6th inning. He said he had no idea. He allowed a 1-out single and then a big walk to a pinch hitter. RBI single by Panic and a game-tying 3-run homer by Posey. 9-bat, 5-score, 2 more home runs. It started with a rook. 2 batters later, number 10 for Eugenio Suarez. Come together. By Furniture Fair for style and flair. Choose Furniture Fair. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Yes, we had a delay today. Swarms of bees, and they're trying to address that in the seating area now.
That might be where the bee's nest is, down there somewhere. It looks like they're all congregating, and they may have to bring in a beekeeper. You have some fruit trees in your backyard, Tom. Maybe they'll take those out to Terrace Park for you.
Here's a foul ball out of play. I never realized until I read an article a couple of weeks ago. And the folks, ironically enough, over at Klosterman Bakery were the ones that had come up with this article I'd read, or a link to it anyway, about the importance of bees to mankind. I'm being totally serious about this. It blew me away, some of the things that I read about that I would have never known. Some of them you're like, duh, okay, I get that. But I'm checking right now to see how long it takes for a beehive to really come together, because you're right, it looked like there was something down there in the stands, and obviously that's something that would have been seen when the folks were here cleaning up the ballpark after the game yesterday and before the game today. All right, so a honeycomb apparently takes up to 7 days. Reds going to a 4-man outfield here. Ooh, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
All right, they're keeping the fastball on Brandon Belt until he shows the Reds that he can turn on it. He's just been a hair late on each of the fastballs Discofani has thrown up there. And that's a breaking pitch.
So the idea being a no doubles defense, and that's exactly what he collects, a double down the right field line.
You know, rather than the no double defense being the focal point, I think that, you know, you're throwing your fastball by him, and you throw him a breaking ball, which just automatically speeds up the bat. And I know that most of the time there are, you know, you're a big league hitter, you just can't keep the same pitch on a guy and get him out. But I mean, Brandon Belt has not shown anybody in this series that he's been able to hit a good fastball. And DeScafani's got a good fastball.
So now Pablo Sandoval, the third baseman, who is starting his 3rd straight game in place of Evan Longoria. Longoria hit the big home run, the game winner, you may remember, in the 11th inning. Off Jared Hughes in that 8-run come from behind 12-11 victory for the Giants on Friday night. He's not been heard from since, he being Longoria. Hot smash. Suarez will look the runner back and it throws it in the stands. They will send the runner home from second base and send Sandoval to second base. It's a 5-1 game.
That was an odd play, really, because I think that Suarez was taken out of it a little bit. He went over to make a nice backhand, and then he wanted to check the runner at third, and then never really set his feet and throw the ball, except kind of a lazy throw that just never came down low enough to be flagged. And nobody there to cover second base, so that's why Brandon Belt, may have kind of spooked Suarez.
All right, so now DeSclafani will try and pitch around the error. And a fastball, strike one to Kevin Pillar. Left side of that infield defensively has been pretty clean this entire year.
Yeah.
With Suarez and especially Iglesias, they have made so many outstanding plays over the course of this year. So it's rare to see that one.
And remember last year the Reds were among the worst teams in baseball in turning a batted ball into an out. And there was some worry because, you lose your best defender in Billy Hamilton up the middle. Would this defense be good this year? And, of course, the addition of Jose Iglesias answered that question.
And really, you can only remember, and Chris, you tell me, you've seen every game. I've seen nearly all of them. He went around, and that'll be strike three on Pillar. The only play that I can remember where there wasn't a play made in center field that should have been made was that fly ball that Schebler lost in St. Louis. It turned into a big St. Louis eighth inning. And when the Reds scored a bunch of runs in the ninth, they came up just short.
That goes down as a base hit because you lose it in the sun. But, that's just one of those things that happens. I think that the defense overall has been good. Certainly you wouldn't have the earned run average the pitchers have if the defense is all that bad. I mean, they're staying right in very tight, close ball games.
Here's Brandon Crawford. And a swing and a miss. Well, you look at the Reds pitching this year. They've allowed 120 runs. Only 3 unearned runs. That would be a fourth right there. That's pretty doggone good. 4 unearned runs. Now some might say, well, you're not making some plays you should have played and so on and so forth. We haven't seen much of that. Puig has been excellent in right. Winker's done a nice job playing in left or in center. And whomever they've played at second base, they've made all the plays. Dietrich, Peraza. Farmer, his first start out there today. And DeSclafani just wore out Brandon Crawford with that fastball.
This is what I was talking about when we went through the scouting report of DeSclafani. And I say deceptive fastball. You look at the radar gun, it doesn't tell you 97, it tells you 95, but I mean, it seems faster than that. He just got a nice, easy motion, a ball coming out of his hand just really easily right now.
Gerber's been batting in the number 2 hole the first 3 games of this series. He has flip-flopped with Steven Duggar. Duggar now in the 2 spot. And Gerber down to the number 8 hole. 1 for 11 since being brought up. There goes the runner. And there would have been nobody home at third base to get there. So Sandoval goes to third. That'll be his first stolen base of the year.
You can argue the effect of this play or not, and normally it has no bearing whether you get a runner from second to third with 2 outs. Or there are a lot of ways you can score from third base. You can't from second. The dangerous thing I see sometimes are teams that try to throw that runner out, and you have the runner converging at the same time as the fielder. And now the throw comes down the line. If it's a little bit offline, then you throw it in the left field and score a run. So DeSclafani needs to refocus here on the hitter.
And now they're going to take the shift off entirely with a runner at third and a 2-0 count. 2-1.
Well, if he got a fastball on a 2-0 count, he's likely to get a fastball on a 3-1 count. They want to heat her up.
Struck him out on another heater up. So an unearned run against DeSclafani. Reds lead 5-1. The Brewers. And Chris, look at that percentage in this series. 22 of the 30 runs. 30 runs in 3 games and 1 at bat. 73%.
Well, if you can't hit them in this ballpark, you're not hitting them anywhere. I mean, the Reds have found that out. They've already played in some big ballparks. San Diego, although the ball was traveling there. LA. Citi Field in New York played huge because of the cold weather and the way the balls were just dying at the warning track. So, getting back to the home run ball here at Cincinnati.
And here's a guy that started that whole thing in the first inning today. His second major league home run. And that's Nick Senzel. Started 2 and 1-1. You know, coming into this series, we talked about how good the Giants pitching had been, ranking 4th in the National League in earned run average starting on Friday night. They have slipped significantly since then. Has Senzel done it again? Has he done it again? He has done it again!
Oh, baby.
Boy, there's some serious pop in that bat.
Well, the league is still trying to figure out how to pitch Nick Senzel. You know, you've got scouts down in AAA. They know about him. They know where his strengths and weaknesses are. But until he starts putting up some at-bats at the big league level, you don't really know. And the Giants are right now figuring that on the outer part of the plate and up is not a good place to start. Second time he's gone the opposite way, and second time he's left the yard. That's exciting. Man, oh man, to have a young player come up out of the minor leagues and just instantly invigorate this ball club. That's exciting.
So he now has 4 hits in 13 at-bats. 3 of the 4 hits are home runs. And by the way, 3 home runs, all to right and right center.
Mm-hmm.
Suarez, a home run out by the Giants bullpen in the first inning. We are only in the second inning. We were delayed nearly 30 minutes because of bees swarming on the playing field and around the Giants dugout. And Suarez with another base hit. He's starting to heat up.
Well, he hit a fastball out of here left center field the first time. This time he got a hanging breaking ball. You're going to see a lot of breaking balls from Pomeranz. He loves the curveball, throws it about 40% of the time. So you're going to get your share if you're a right-hander.
The last big leaguer with a 2 home run game in his first 4 games. Trevor Story actually did it twice, you may remember, in 2016. So here you have Senzel, first rookie in now, 3 years, to have a 2-homer game within the first 4 of his career. Well, this Giants team has to be in shock, even though they've won 2 out of 3.
Yeah. They're probably figuring, hey, we got him right where we want him.
And now Puig, a soft liner that'll fall into right field, a base hit. The Giants had allowed 5 or more runs in only 10 games the entire year before this series started. And now they've allowed 5 or more in every game of this 4-game set. Now Kurt Young will come out again. Giants bullpen was just sensational here last night. Got Moronta, Watson, Smith did give up a home run in the 9th inning, but that was the only hit and the only run they allowed. Nick Vincent is getting loose in their bullpen.
Well, Kurt Young might be saying, hey, Delta just called, and the plane is not going to be ready until about 5 o'clock. So we need you to hang out here for a little bit longer. And, he's been in that situation. I've been in a situation. Anybody that's ever pitched for any period of time has been in a situation like Drew Pomerantz. And it seems like you make a good pitch and you get a bad result. You make a bad pitch, of course you're going to get a bad result. And he's just out right now just trying to go pitch by pitch how to control some damage.
Here's Farmer. He walked his first time up. Making his first career start as a second baseman today is Kyle Farmer. Farmer, you may remember, was on his way to AAA Louisville. He was reassigned to minor league camp on the 22nd of March. But later that afternoon is when Scooter Gennett was injured, the groin injury in a game against the Milwaukee Brewers. So Farmer returned to the major league camp the next day. We saw him play first, second, third, short, and catch during our time in Arizona. JD, Jim Day down there, you've been following this team all the way, going back to the beginning of spring training. Tell us a little bit about Kyle Farmer.
Well, he's a funny guy, and we've talked about that. Now, Alex Wood, who we've yet to see, who he came over in that trade from the Dodgers, he was actually in his wedding. He was one of the groomsmen. So the two are best of friends. And again, they call him Luke, as in Luke Bryan. I now find myself saying, hey, Luke, how you doing? And he answers me as Luke Bryan.
Saw that impersonation he was kind enough to do for Jim Day when we were on our last road trip.
We were talking last night about what you talked about, his few at-bats with 5 home runs.
Yeah.
As he goes down swinging here, but he had talked about that Marine layer out in Dodger Stadium. They gave him a bunch of grief because he didn't have a home run there. Talked about how hard it was to be a hitter there and how friendly it is here at GABP.
That's the second out of the inning, and here is Iglesias. Iglesias with a run-scoring 3-base hit down the right field line and would score on the Casale single in the Reds' 5-run first inning. So that run the Giants scored in the top of this second inning, the Reds pick it right back up on the home run by Senzel. And trying to add to it with 2 on and 2 out. And Iglesias does it again. This one down the right field corner. One run will score. They're going to wave now, hold, Puig. A double and a triple today. A couple of runs batted in for Jose Iglesias. Reds now lead 7-1.
Well, the Reds are doing something today that they were unable to do yesterday, which is add on to their pad they made up in the first inning. And a high breaking ball the other way, right inside the line down the first base line.
What a pickup he has been.
Boy.
Was brought in to be a backup player after being a regular everyday player with the Tigers. I mean, him and Dietrich, I don't know if the Reds could have had a crystal ball and seen any clear. Saw Vincent in that 12-11 inning game here on Friday night. 2 innings, 1 hit, couple of runs, 1 earned. Fan 4 did not walk a batter. We've not seen him in either of the last 2 games.
The Giants looking for some innings right now, and Vincent has pitched a few games in which he's gone 3 innings out of the bullpen. That's basically what you call long relief nowadays, just 3 innings.
3 batters is getting borderline long relief.
Used to be, you come into a ball game like this, if you're in Vincent's situation, you're down by 6. You know, sometimes that long guy ends up finishing the ball game.
By the way, I know some were curious about that did not catch David Bell's comments after the game yesterday. What with the struggles of the Reds closer Raisel Iglesias. There is no plan whatsoever to have anyone else closing games for this Reds team for the foreseeable future, according to David Bell, than Raisel Iglesias. Lost his 5th game of the year last night. Given up 4 home runs, 2 critical home runs in this series. Game tying home run in the 9th inning Friday, and a game losing home run to Brandon Crawford after Amir Garrett was replaced when a right-handed batter came to the plate. Or with a right-handed batter coming to the plate. I beg your pardon.
I think 2 things come into factor there, Tom. Number one, there's nobody really out there who, stuff-wise and experience-wise, could come in and take over for Raisel Iglesias. And the other thing is that he's been pretty good over the last few years. And he just may be going through a little short slump. Stick with him until he gets his way out of it.
Nick Senzel at bats in each of the first 2 innings. Same result. Long balls to right. Weddings here, many of them. Discover the possibilities at the home of the Reds. Visit reds.com/events. All right, it's right there on a silver platter here today, even though you're just in the 3rd inning. Saw the Reds lose an 8-0 lead. Sonny Gray out on the mound. Labored in the 3rd inning of that game and wound up being lifted after 5. Labored in the 4th inning, I beg your pardon. Was sailing through the front 3. And Gray, of course, wound up with a no decision despite having an 8-0 lead. And Vincent will bat to start the inning. And that's now 4 consecutive strikeouts, 5 in the game for Anthony DeSclafani. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky at Miami Valley Gaming.
1 down in the Giants' 3rd. The Reds a 7-1 lead. Panic led off the game with a pop-up to the shortstop Iglesias. How about Kyle Farmer? It's not a bad play for a guy making his first career start as a second baseman.
You know, we've seen some pretty good plays in this series alone by different Red second basemen. Derek Dietrich made a similar play the other day, and here Farmer lays out, gets up, gets his man. 2 up, 2 down.
That'll bring up Duggar. He looks at a first pitch strike. The only Giants run was an unearned run. A double by Belt to begin the second inning, and he scored on a throwing error by Suarez. And just like that, nothing in 2. Duggar had a single into center field his first time up. Oh boy, DeSclafani wanted that call. Chad Whitson, the home plate umpire, says no. You be the judge. Very close. Funny sound to it, as if he broke the bat, and he did. Boy, what a beautiful, beautiful couple of days we have had. 4 o'clock start yesterday, and even warmer with bright sunshine today. Good crowds. Even for a Monday at 12:30, and of course school not out, at least not for most. A lot of the colleges in and around the area and universities have been out. But some youngsters taking in the game today nonetheless. Tapper to the left side, and Suarez this time right on the button. A perfect inning for DeSclafani.
American Ballpark. Over 1,000 students from local schools are attending today's game, so good day and good reason to get out of school. Each student is getting a workbook that explores the science and math behind baseball, which is right up Tom Brenneman's alley.
It is. Maybe I ought to go pick up one of those.
You should. Big League workbook.
That's cool stuff. Very cool. That would be right about my reading level, so be perfect. Perfect. And math level for sure.
I learn about BABIP.
And there a strike to Anthony DeSclafani. A man's got to know his limitations. As a very wise man once said in a Dirty Harry movie, a man's got to know his limitations. And that one just stayed up Crawford. Played it off to the side. That's a point you made the other day about Iglesias when that ball just smoked him on one hop right in the chest, but it fell down by his feet and he got the out at first base.
I mean, really, it's old school versus new school. New school right there. If it takes a great hop, it's right in the glove. You're out at first base. But since it went off the glove, off to his side, they're going to give him a base hit on that, right?
Yep.
But if he gets in front of it and knocks it down and bobbles it, then you're charged with an error. I don't know whether that's the reasoning behind it, but I'm seeing fewer and fewer infielders catching them the old-fashioned way, which is getting your body in front of it. It's hard to teach youth baseball players how to play fundamental baseball when they turn the TV on and see balls fielded like that. And Brandon Crawford is as good as they come defensively. I mean, 3-time Gold Glove Award winner. He's a really good player. I just didn't think he played that ball very well.
And some of you saw that note. For those that did not, pretty amazing. Of all the great hitters that have come up through the Reds franchise history, Corky Miller was the last player to have a multi-homer game within his first 2 weeks of coming into the big leagues. He had 2 home runs in his 13th game in 2001, and here's Senzel, by far the earliest to do it in a Reds career. A multi-homer game in his 4th game.
Now they're still trying to tease him up and away. Of course, that's the main pitch for Nick Vincent. He's got that little cutter / slider that he likes to just fade away from right-handers up and away.
And this time they get him out down. Yeah. So now Joey, he hit a weak roller in the infield grass of the first baseline that he legged out, hustled out into a hit, and then hit the ball right on the screws, when you know it, his last time up, on a ball that ricocheted off the pitcher and went right to the shortstop behind him, who threw him out. So you picked up some information before the game today. We all know about Votto, and he's having some struggles, but you were digging around a little bit, and how, at least in New York, you know, that ball's coming off the bat with a little more velocity to it.
One of the evaluation tools that everybody uses, whether you're a fantasy league player, whether you're a coach in the big leagues, an analytics guy in the big leagues, you're looking for a lot of different metrics, and one of those is exit velocity. He did hit the ball hard in New York a couple of times. In fact, the ball we saw just died at the warning track. Reds front office and coach is looking for some signs that Joey will return to being the old Joey.
Well, he broke his bat there, but was able to muscle it in. I tell you what, maybe the tide is turning for Votto, because his last 3 hits wouldn't have broken an eggshell. But they're base hits.
Well, you know, at the end of the year, they don't ask you
That's right.
how, they ask you how many.
And that is in no way, shape, or form, getting on Votto. You'll take him when you can get him, because, as we mentioned, his last time up, he hit a bullet, and it turned into an out. So now Suarez off to a big start again today. In the first inning with Votto aboard. A home run into deep left center field. And then had a single to left and scored in the Reds' second inning. They scored 5 in the first, 2 in the second. And they have 2 on with 2 out here in the third inning. 1-2 on Suarez. Votto giving DeSclafani a hard time, making sure he understands exactly how many outs there are and what to be aware of out on the base pass. He's still chirping at him over there. And this ball is into right center field, but Pilar will run her down. And for the first time today, the Reds fail to score in an inning, but still lead 7-1.
100% of the Cincinnati Reds.
Time now for T-Mobile's connection to the game. Don't look loud, but here come the Cubbies after a 3-8 start, 16-4 since, including 7 straight. They beat the Cardinals last night to take over first place in the NL Central. And Hunter Renfroe, first Padre with a pinch hit walk-off grand slam in yesterday's win versus the Dodgers, the 16th player in MLB history to do it.
Well, the Cubbies really are rolling. 7 wins in a row and now sitting atop the National League Central. They've got Lester healthy again. And they're starting to swing the bats. Conversely, the St. Louis Cardinals, who were swept in that series, as you mentioned, Jim Day, by those Cubs, have now lost 4 in a row. But they're still 6 games over 500. Milwaukee picking it up again. Brewers have won 3 straight.
All from the Mets, I think.
Yep. And the Pirates have won 2 in a row to go to 1 game over 500. It's going to be a really fun division to watch. And certainly the Reds are, they might be bringing up the bottom right now at just 6.5 back, but you get the sneaking suspicion that there are better days coming for this Reds team.
It just seems like they played better baseball than what their win-loss record shows. And all those 1-run losses, all those disappointing losses, like 2 of the ones that they've had in this series, have kind of plagued the Reds so far here in the early go. Right now, DeSclafani's just dealing.
6 strikeouts in the game. He's allowed 1 unearned run. And here's Belt, who doubled down the right field line and scored the only Giants run. And again, the Reds go to the 4-man outfield, which we saw him do to Belt the last time. And they threw him a breaking ball, and he whacked it down in the corner. And, Chris, you were talking about Belt, at least in this series, does not appear to be catching up with good heat. 2-0.
And that really feeds into the strength of DeSclafani right now. I think that, part of his resurgence is the fact that he's got renewed confidence in the fastball. Up in the zone, he's got good run and good life on it. Like right that one. I mean, if you're Brandon Belt and you're looking at a 2-0 pitch, now maybe you're 6 runs down, you're going to take a strike or whatever. Probably a little early for that, but he got that base hit on the curveballs last time up. I don't think he's going to see one in this at-bat.
Although in this at-bat so far, DeSclafani's having a hard time locating that fastball. 3 of the 4 have missed up and away to the left-handed batter. 3 balls and a strike. And he missed for a 4th time up and away with a fastball.
Well, this is when, as a pitcher, you have to be your own pitching coach. Every time you go and you walk a batter in the same spot, 3 pitches up and away, the pitching coach can't run out there and talk to you. So you've got to know what you've been doing on the side drills and on your bullpens to figure out how to get that front shoulder back in there and stay in there.
Pablo Sandoval. A hot smash to the backhand side of Suarez, his first time up with a runner at second base. Suarez fielded the ball cleanly but threw it too high for Votto. And Sandoval was able to go to second, and it brought in a run. In fact, DeSclafani, the unearned run against him today, he has not given up an earned run in 2 full 9-inning games. 18 innings pitched.
There's 95 that looks like 95, and then there's 95 that really appears like it's about 98. And for some reason or other, that ball just really is right by a lot of hitters. I mean, I've not seen DeSclafani beat on that high fastball yet. I mean, when he gets beat on a fastball, it's down around the knees. Maybe earlier in the year when he's trying to sink the ball too much. That four-seamer's got good ride.
You know, the first thing it makes me think of when I hear you describe a pitcher like that is really what happened, and I'm not comparing the two pitchers, but I am in regard to the high fastball. And you and I always wondered why the Reds were in such a hurry to get Tony Cingrani back in his days as a starter to get the ball down in the strike zone.
I could never figure that out.
He was striking out everybody and his brother on high fastballs.
Yep. And basically nothing else.
Nothing else.
They experimented with a slider, and as soon as they started experimenting with him and a slider, two things happened. He started throwing the ball down in the zone, getting hit, and his arm started hurting. I think he was an unusual talent that just didn't get developed properly here.
High fly ball. And that's Peraza out there.
A little drama in that.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, he's not used to being out there regularly. Here's Pilar, who struck out his first time up. DeSclafani really worked over Pilar in that first at bat. And right there had him way out in front, hit the ball, a little cue shot off the end of the bat, a roller down the line. And now 0-2. And he cracked his back. There have been about 4 or 5 Giants in this game already today that have had to go back to the dugout and get a new piece of lumber. Boy, he's really throwing the ball well. Oh, and 2 on Pilar.
Well, the last 3 starts for DeSclafani has been outstanding. All 3 of those on the road. Earned run average starts with 0. You know that's going to be good. I thought the motivation that he had before these 3 starts is very interesting. He had a bad outing, and he said, I don't want to be the weak link in this rotation. That's motivation enough.
Got that right. He just punched out his 7th batter of the game through 4 in the country. Reds bat, bottom of the 4th inning. If you weren't with us, we had a delay to this game of nearly a half hour due to a swarm of bees in and around the home plate area. First pitch here in the inning, Puig rolls out. All right, now prior to Friday night, the Giants had the 4th best team earned run average in the league. Their earned run average in this series, almost 9. But you know what? You can look at all those numbers from now till the cows come home. And the Giants are going into this series and they've won 2 out of 3.
Yeah, with the chance to take 3 out of 4. Amazing.
Now, the great news for Reds fans on the flip side of all that is his team, obviously, which has basically been a slumber party on offense the entire year. All of a sudden, there's a loud beat going on. Now, will they take that with them to the Bay Area beginning later tonight and opening a 3-game series against the A's tomorrow? Such a unique trip for the Reds. When you're staying in the same hotel for 1 week, you play the A's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as Farmer is out of there on strikes. And the Reds aren't the first team to have done this. Baseball is trying harder and harder to make things like this happen if and when they can. But then they just stay right in the same hotel, and instead of driving across the Bay Bridge to go play in Oakland, they'll just go about 10, 15 blocks down to Oracle Park and take on the Giants.
Yeah. Meanwhile, collect your hotel points.
Which you will be doing.
Book it.
Plenty of them. You're one of the all-time great hotel points guys, and there are a lot of them out there. Are you at a point now where you're able to pay for like vacations and stuff? I meet those guys and I'm amazed by those guys. Because see, we don't get them.
Oh, because you're an employee
of the Reds.
Okay,
so when we go to these hotels, we don't get them.
Yeah. I have. I've spent a lot of them on my kids.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess with all the travels, what I'm getting at is you're earning enough of those during the course of the year, which you can send them off to somewhere and maybe stay for a few days in a hotel. Free, right?
Exactly.
It's nice. Nice. Very nice. Oh, and 2 to Iglesias. What a day he's had.
Well, you got to hand it to the Giants relievers again. I mean, so far it's only one, and Nick Vincent, but he's come right in here, struck out the first batter he faced, gave up a couple of base hits last inning, nothing doing runs-wise for the Reds, and on the verge of a 1-2-3 inning here.
One ball and 2 strikes. Sandoval will throw out Iglesias, and indeed Vincent has done a nice job. Couple of scoreless innings. Reds still lead it, and a 4th, 7-1.
And MLB. Most region as in close together.
How about that? These Giants will also tell you that Homer Bailey pitched a great game against them in the playoffs that year in the 2012 Division Series. Bailey was the one guy, and look, you know, there were some very accomplished pitchers that came rolling through here, but in that window where the Reds in 2010 and then in 2012, 13 when they went to the wild card game, Bailey did not pitch in that game. But Bailey, when given a chance to pitch in the playoffs, was by far the best pitcher the Reds had. Fly ball to center field. Now you can say, well, for whatever that's worth. Well, all I know is that they got to give the ball to somebody. And he was dealing. Punched out 10 in that game, gave up 1 run. I mean, just dealing.
Overpowering is what he was in that series.
And the Reds would lose that game.
Incredible that the Reds would end up losing that game and then lose 3 in a row at home here. And, you know, the Giants also got down, I think, 3-1 in the next series when they played the St. Louis Cardinals. They came back off the mat to win that one. They just had such an improbable run of winning games that they weren't supposed to win. Very much like what they've done in this series.
Matt Sigafus, I mean, you know, you just mention a game, and all of a sudden he has the highlights right now. Siggy. I don't know if we've been able to fool him through the years, have we? There was that one time I think we found something. A few years ago. We were trying to fool him so badly.
Before televised games is probably the only way you're going to fool him.
1-2 on Gerber. Strike 3 called. Mercy is DeSclafani dealing again here today. That's his 8th strikeout.
Well, Gerber's gone down twice, swinging at the first one, and then takes a fastball in the inside corner there. It's a great little comeback action right there. Hard to make a ball that's thrown at 94 move that much. But we've talked about his delivery and how important it is to not throw across your body. DeSclafani actually steps a little bit open with his left foot, which just allows him to clear his hips and get that ball to back up a little bit.
Tyler Austin, the pinch hitter for Vincent. Vincent did a really nice job. Goes 2 1/3 innings, allows 1 hit, no runs. Really nice job. Had 3 strikeouts and no walks. All 7 earned runs charged to the starter Pomeranz in his inning and 2/3 today. 9 hits. Two and two on Austin. Straight up in the air behind home plate, and that went out of play. Giants have a total of 2 hits. Second batter of the game, Duggar, on a bouncer back up through the middle into center field, and Belt hooked the breaking ball down into the right field corner, leading off the 2nd inning. Here we are in the 5th, and the Giants have not had a hit since then. High into the air, left center, playable out there for Peraza, and he will make the catch to retire the side. Second perfect inning of the game.
Bell, much respect for the other guy in the dugout.
Being in the organization in the role I was in, I did get to have interactions with Boch that I will always remember and that I'll cherish. I always respected him from the other side of the field, so to be on the same team with him for a year was something that I really appreciate.
And David Bell talking about his year that he spent within the Giants organization before coming to the Reds, and you guys talked about it. Not sure if he's going to be in baseball in the future, but you can book one stop. That'll be Cooperstown, New York.
Yeah, you win 3 World Series, that tends to happen to you.
Well, he's also taken over the lead for the most wins as a Giants manager, and to hold on to that job for 13 years now after managing the Padres for 12. Took the Padres to the World Series.
Yep.
Won 3 titles with the Giants. Manager of the year only once. I have a hard time believing that, and I like the last line right here. 61 ejections.
12th all time. Got time to move up.
I imagine that he'll get a little momentum as the season gets underway.
It all depends on what kind of year it is.
Well, we did talk off the record. There are a few umpires that, you know, everybody has their, I guess, individual guys in the game that you may or may not like, or might like more than others. He's got some umpires that he doesn't really have great fondness for. But when those two get matched up, I mean, oftentimes he gets an early shower.
I mean, they didn't give him a box full of bees in there, did they?
I don't know. Is that a honeycomb in there, maybe with the queen bee?
There's a walk by Venditti, the new pitcher, the ambidextrous pitchers we've talked about before. So he walks Nick Senzel, and now he will stay as a right-handed pitcher against Peraza. Peraza, the only Red not to reach base so far in this game. Farmer does not have a hit. Everybody else, including the pitcher, does have a hit. Nothing in 2 on Jose Peraza. And a breaking ball that will be gloved by Crawford, and he'll get the out on Casale at second base.
Well, it cost Peraza a base hit right there by having a runner at first base. There's no way you're going to be able to throw out Jose Peraza if you're diving towards third base as a shortstop. He's just too fast down the line for that. But that's a dandy defensive play by the Giants shortstop. They're used to seeing that for a long time from Brandon Crawford.
DeSclafani puts down the bunt. They get one, and DeSclafani will leg out the return throw by Crawford. So now we're going to get another look at Nick Senzel. Already his 4th at bat in the game, and we are just in the 5th inning. Our StatCast AI powered by AWS. How about the home run balls by Senzel today? That was the first home run. And then 350 feet on the second home run. Did not get the exit velocity there.
I think the home run trumps the exit velocity.
Really?
You get I bet, see, the exit velocity on that foul ball right there probably better than either of the home runs he's hit in this ball in this series. But you know, the whole idea is exit velocity is part of the equation. The launch angle is the other. So you know, you get the right combo, and the ball will go the farthest. You can have great exit velocity, but hit a ground ball to shortstop.
First major league player with multi-home run game in the leadoff spot over the first 4 games of his career, going back to, believe it or not, Yasiel Puig with the Dodgers in 2013. Man, did he tear it up when they brought him up to the big
league. He did, and he came, of course, in second that year in the National League Rookie of the Year.
And that's a swing and a miss for strike 3. Off to the 6th.
Well, he has picked up and continued what he has been able to do the last 3 times out. Anthony DeSclafani, the fastball especially, has been an outstanding pitch for him today. Mowing the Giants down. He's got 8 strikeouts. And showing no signs of slowing down. That's why he's out there right now, towing the rubber for inning number 6.
You may remember in DeSclafani's last start, He was actually throwing the ball better in that game than he is even in this game, as hard to believe as that might be. He had allowed 3 hits, struck out 8. He struck out 8 here today, and had not allowed a single run. Of course, he shouldn't have given up a run today. It was an unearned run. He begins this inning with 77 pitches. In that game, he was taken out at the 85 pitch mark, but it was a 0-0 game. This one looped into right field. It will go to the wall, and on his way to second base is Panic to begin the San Francisco 6th inning. And I wonder, with a 7-run lead, as dominant as DeSclafani has been again today, do the Reds start their bullpen?
Well, I imagine so. I mean, there's been such a small margin of error for most of these games for the Reds pitchers and for, David Bell and the coaching staff. I mean, he's had to play almost batter by batter for fear of losing a lead because the Reds offense hasn't been doing anything. But you got a big spread right here. You ought to give him a longer leash. I would certainly think so. Nobody even milling around down there in the Reds bullpen.
High fly ball, deep right center field. Puig giving chase, but able to get there in time is Senzel, and tagging and moving on to third is Panic.
Boy, even when Duggar makes an out, it's a tough out.
That'll bring Stephen Vogt to the plate. Swing and a miss by Vogt, who was struck out swinging and struck out looking. DeSclafani, 19 innings without giving up an earned run. Trying to keep that going right now with a runner at third, 1 out. Reds obviously conceding the run. And quickly ahead of Vogt at 0-2. Straight up in the air. And Puig coming in hard, although the second baseman going to make the catch flat-footed. The runner going to stay put. We invite you to stop into your local Menards for a chance to win the summer flyaway to Atlanta sweepstakes. The winner receives a trip for 2 with a pair of tickets to a pair of games and 2 nights in a hotel. Make sure to enter at a local Menards by May the 18th.
I'm not really sure what this conversation is about. It was an easy pop-up by Vogt. You've got another left-hander, Brandon Belt, coming in there. And
so here's Brandon Belt. Reds unable to use this time against Belt their 4-man defensive outfield alignment. They've gone to it twice, and the result has been a double down the right field line and a walk to Brandon Belt.
you could almost call it a 4-man outfield. As deep as the second baseman's playing, I would say he's an outfielder right now.
True. Farmer is out there a ways. And there's ball 4 on Brandon Belt. So now all of a sudden this becomes an important situation here. I mean, we've seen this dance before where the Reds just on Friday night had an 8-0 lead. They had a 10-3 lead. And you said to yourself, well, they run into one here and they're back in the game. And that would be true here. Yeah. You run into one here, you're 3 down with 3 to go.
And it's very easy for a pitcher to kind of be lulled into a sense of false confidence. You know, when you look at the scoreboard and you're 6 runs up and they really haven't been able to muster much against you at all. They haven't even hit the ball hard for the most part. And you lose a guy that in Brandon Belt that you've walked twice now. Sandoval's up there to swing the bat. He had some mighty swings his last time up, eventually flied out to left field.
He has not walked all year long. Sandoval has a pair of home runs on the season. Well, he took a hearty cut indeed there and fouled it away.
Yeah, you can see, though, from that swing, and that's where DeSclafani's been attacking him with the fastball. You get that ball down a little bit, and Sandoval's going to center it up. Want to keep it above the letters. Nice little cutter slash slider on the outside corner.
Runners on the corners, 2 away. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Pablo Sandoval. And that ball is hammered into right center field, and that's just what we were talking about. All of a sudden, 7-1 is 7-4.
Well, they went down and away with a really great pitcher on a down outside cutter and then came right back up and in. And Sandoval must have been looking for it because it was up there at the top of the zone on the inner part of the plate. And that one he's able to jolt right out of here.
In the 6th inning of this series, the Giants have scored 11 runs. They got 4 of them against Castillo in the 6th inning last night. And all of a sudden, what was a spectacular day by DeSclafani is certainly flawed after allowing the walk in the 3-run home run. All proceeds benefit the Reds Community Fund. Register today at reds.com/run. Well, ever since the 2nd inning, the Reds offense has been completely shut down. No runs and 1 hit. And Venditti is on for his 2nd inning of work. And he will pitch left-handed for the first time since coming on. Faced righties in Casali, Peraza, DeSclafani, and Senzel in a scoreless 5th. Really is amazing. You just take it for granted. I mean, you talked about the general population, what, less than 1% ambidextrous?
Correct.
I mean, it's just amazing.
I really would think that it would be the rule would even be more fun if you allowed the pitcher to change hands from pitch to pitch.
But then, like you said, though, it might be chaos, though.
Yeah, but
I mean, would you ever actually throw a pitch?
Well, I mean, the pitcher would declare first, and then the batter would declare if he's a switch hitter. And on the next pitch, the batter declares first, and then the pitcher. So they would alternate back and forth. I mean, that would be add to the strategy of the game a little bit, wouldn't it?
But as you mentioned, it's because of Venditti that they actually made a rules change in baseball.
Because he faced a switch hitter, and the switch hitter kept switching boxes every time Venditti would put the glove on a different hand, and they never get the game going.
3-2 to Votto. Suarez to follow, and then Yasiel Puig straight up in the air. One away.
Well, you see Venditti now. He's got a three-fingered glove, and you see him switching hands, putting it on the left hand this time. He's going to pitch right-handed to the next batter. It is fascinating.
It's just one of the little things, and all of us are guilty of it. Look, we all know it. You take things for granted. And there's a breaking ball that hits Suarez in the leg. So Venditti will continue to throw right-handed to the right-handed batting Yasiel Puig. Well, you just get a sneaking suspicion. It's one of those games again. The Reds, they just can't shut it down offensively. This Giants team has just shown incredible resiliency in this series. They were unable to come back. You know, the second game of the series, they fell behind big, and the Reds never looked back. It was a 1-1 game after an inning and a half. The Reds scored 4 in the second. Would tack on a run in the fourth, back-to-back home runs in the fifth, en route to the 9-2 win. But 8-0, they led at the end of 3. Giants got 3 runs in the fourth, but you know the Reds came back and scored in the fourth and the fifth. But then starting in the sixth, 4 runs, 3 in the eighth, tied it in the ninth, won it in the 11th. One ball and 2 strikes on Yasiel Puig, who is grounded to short, single to right, and bounced out to the first baseman. Huge gap on that right side of the infield right now, with Belt holding the runner on and the second baseman right next to the bag.
Yeah, with the way the outfield is split there also, a hard ground ball would go all the way to the wall.
One ball and 2 strikes. You know, it's really too bad. Just a case of circumstances. David Bell builds in regular off days for players well ahead of time, so they know about it. Well, the game here on Saturday night, Puig had not had a game like that this entire year.
Yeah.
Where as far as just his contact in that game, he had 4 trips to the plate where he just knocked the cover off the ball. But then his scheduled off day was for yesterday. Came on at the end of the game as a pinch hitter, got 1 at bat, struck out. And here he is, 1 for 3.
That's something worth watching and see if that gets modified any time throughout the season. You know, because if you sense a guy that has been in a slump beginning to come out of it, last thing you want to do is give him a day off. You want to give the guy a day off that, you know, either the matchup looks terrible or, you know, he's dragging a little bit.
There's ball 4 to Puig.
He waited that one out pretty good, got behind and worked the walk.
Coming up on Wednesday, an all-new Reds Weekly. Big weekend at GABP with Nick Senzel coming up to the big leagues and a celebration of the throwback uniforms. It's a great show. Reds Weekly, Jeff Pecoro, Doug Flynn. Wednesday at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio or streaming on Fox Sports Go. And don't forget, be late games on tomorrow night and Wednesday, a day game on Thursday, night game on Friday, Saturday in San Francisco, and a late afternoon start with a time difference on Sunday. Reds Live tomorrow night will begin at 9:30 Eastern Time. Same thing on Wednesday, and a 3 o'clock Reds Live. The finale in Oakland on Thursday. Two on, 1 out for Kyle Farmer. And Venditti having a hard time getting the ball all of a sudden over the plate. He's hit a batter and walked a batter. Double play ball here if it's fielded cleanly, which it is not, and they won't get a single out after all. Well, that's a play we're so used to seeing Crawford gobble up. It's been so good, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, for a long time.
Ball got through the infield very quickly, and Crawford, I'm not sure if he gets it and stays in balance, he's got a chance for a double play ball, but I think that ball was a little bit more up the middle than we thought when it came off the bat. So he saves a run by keeping it in the infield, but the Reds pick up an infield hit. Now Iglesias, who's done some serious damage here today.
And looking for more damage here. This ball driven into deep left field, and it's over the head of Gerber. 2 runs are going to score, and how about the day for Iglesias? 3 hits and now 4 runs batted in.
I mean, he didn't wait long. First pitch he sees from Venditti on the inner part of the plate, actually off the plate right there. Little sinker that he meets at the sweet part of the bat.
Two extra base hits, a triple, a double, and a single. 4 RBIs today for Iglesias, giving him now 9 on the year. And here's Casale. And this ball into left center field. This one will fall in. Farmer rounding third. RBI single by Casale. His second hit and second driven in today. Hey, when this guy gets a chance to play, he does some damage with the bat. And his starts are rare.
Well, he does a great job behind the plate working with the pitchers as well. Really good combination of Tucker Barnhart and Casale. I think it might be one of the better ones we've had recently. And he gets a gapper right here that gets cut off, drives a run in. Reds finally playing a little add-on to try to separate themselves with the Giants here and put this baby out of reach.
Well, they've answered the 3 runs the Giants got on the home run by Sandoval in the top of the inning. And now drilled with a pitch is Peraza, second batter that Venditti has hit here in the inning. And the Reds apparently are going to send up a pinch hitter. Van Meter just brought up from the minor leagues yesterday. You know, Jim Day, you've been covering the Redlegs for a long time, JD. And you had a chance to catch up going back to Arizona with this young fella, Van Meter.
Well, he said he has a chip on his shoulder because he was not invited to big league camp, and he's had to earn everything he's received in baseball. And he said, I am going to keep that chip on my shoulder even though I'm called up. Best of friends with Senzel. Good guy to pick his brain. Big moment right here.
Indeed it is. He made his major league debut here yesterday, and that one hits him in the back. He gets his first RBI. So his 2 plate appearances, he's drawn a walk and been hit by a pitch now with the bases loaded, and here comes Bruce Bochy. It's 11-4 Reds. We're going to pick JD's brain a little bit more after the commercial break. Not much time there to talk about Van Meter. Kid from Indiana. He's got to be so excited getting a chance to play alongside his good buddy Nick Senzel. Venditti leaves after hitting Van Meter. And we'll get back to him in a second, as we promised with JD. But first things first is the right-hander now on the pitch, Sam Dyson. He's having a nice year. 3 walks, 17 innings. Opponent's batting .238. Walks in with the bases loaded to face Nick Senzel. Already a pair of home runs in 4 at-bats today for Senzel. Oh, and 2. So close the book on Anthony DeSclafani. 6 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned. He walked 2, fanned 8. Oh, and 2 the count on Nick Senzel. A full count. Two balls and 2 strikes on Senzel. And that strike 3 called, and Senzel knew it.
Now the Reds have had 3 hitters hit by pitch in this inning. You know the last time that has happened to a Reds ball club? It was predicted and threatened by Doc Ellis.
Right.
He said, I'm going to hit every batter that comes up there, and he hit the first 3 batters. That was back in May the 1st of 1974. Last time the Reds have had 3 batters in an inning hit by pitch.
And predicted, as you said.
I still remember seeing Tony Perez dancing around a batter's box. No way you're hitting me.
He kept trying.
Yes, he did.
Now Joey Votto with the bases loaded. Votto led off the inning with a pop up to left field. We've already seen in this series, if I'm not mistaken, Votto make the first out of an inning and the last out of an inning. That happened here in the 3rd inning on Friday night. He led off with a ground ball to first and was the 10th batter and the final batter in the 3rd inning on a line drive to Pilar in center field. 0-1. And it's 0-2.
Well, they just continue to try to crowd Joey Votto with that fastball up and in.
Oh, and 2 with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And now Votto hit with a pitch.
Well, you can hear
I
that
think Vincent
all the
is
way up
saying,
here.
did he
Right.
not lean into that pitch right there? I mean, and the catcher's trying to sell the home plate umpire, and so is Bruce Bochy. Claiming that Votto leaned in to get hit with his pitch. Sticking the elbow out, I guess is what they're saying there.
Well, you know, I believe, Tom, that it's reviewable whether the ball hits the batter or not, but it's not reviewable if, in the umpire's judgment, he leaned in or did not lean into a pitch. That's what Bruce Bochy went out there to try to get straightened out with the home plate umpire, Chad Whitson. Ooh.
That is the first RBI since the Reds saw the Atlanta Braves for Joey Votto. And he gets it the painful way. His 6th overall on this season. They're still loaded. 4th batter in this inning hit by a pitch.
You know, if the umpire rules that you actually leaned in to get hit or you did not make a bona fide effort to get out of the way of the pitch, then it could be just called a ball and a dead ball at the plate. If a batter is hit by a pitch leaning in over the plate, it could be called a strike and not a hit by pitch. So you normally think hit by pitch is a very simple thing, but not always the case.
And that's why it's so important, the actual ruling on it. And if you're curious, I don't know if there's a difference between amateur baseball, could be high school, could be college, could be minor league baseball, pro baseball. Go to baseballrulesacademy.com. That's baseballrulesacademy.com and check it out. You'll get all the answers you need. Very interesting rule. We were talking about Venditti a little bit earlier and about how a rule was instated just for him as an ambidextrous pitcher. 3-1, down to 3rd, and the force out will end the inning. So if you're wondering, didn't have time to get to a pad, try Baseball Rules Academy. RBI triple in the 1st, RBI double in the 2nd, 2-run single in the 6th. And the Reds make a couple of changes. Van Meter will go to the field for the first time. How about that? Farmer moves over to first base. Hopefully Joey Votto's okay after getting hit on the elbow. And now on the pitch, it'll be Zach Duke. And that one banged into left field immediately by the left-handed batting Brandon Crawford. Reds in front of 12-4 here in the 7th inning. Chris, I got to ask you a question now because this is the kind of thing in this day and age of sabermetrics and so much more being paid attention to, that 3rd time through the batting order, you know, all that kind of thing. And Joel Luckup, our statistician, was the one who was bringing this up in a commercial break.
Mm-hmm.
From fans, there was a lot of blowback from David Bell, on David Bell. DeSclafani taken out after 85 pitches in 5 innings. Tyler Mahle working on a shutout, taking out after 84 pitches in New York. Sonny Gray, the first game of this series, taken out after 5 innings before approaching a third time through the batting order, where generally most pitchers, the batting average will escalate as you go through the batting order a second time, a third time, etc. Here today, DeSclafani is on cruise control through the front 5. They let him go back out in the 6th. A hit, a walk, a bomb. Is there justification in perhaps what David Bell is doing? I'm not asking you to defend him, but is it a point now where, maybe he's reluctant to let guys besides Castillo go into that third time through the batting order?
I don't know. On a day like today, when you have a big lead like that, I think that just because they touched up DeSclafani there in the 5th inning or 6th inning is probably reason enough to go ahead and go to your bullpen. Maybe get some guys down there, some touches on a more prolonged basis. I think it goes big game by game, but we're seeing this from every team out there. The third time around is now under the microscope, and there are matchups. If you have matchup ability in your bullpen, they're being played more and more than ever before.
Puig almost ricocheted that ball into a catch, although he went hard into that wall down there.
Almost had that. I mean, it was in and out of his glove.
Well, I don't know what's going on here now. Maybe they may want to check on Yasiel Puig.
Well, I think that they may be checking on whether there was some fan interference. And what David Bell might be asking is that, will you ask the other umpires to see if they saw something? Now they're going to have an official umpire review on this. Did a fan knock the ball out of his glove is probably what they're looking at right here. And from where David Bell is sitting, without a monitor, you have no idea whether he's leaning over the fence like he is or not. The fan was right there, but once that fielder goes into the stands, that ball is open game for anybody.
While they're having a look at that, I would like to send out a big congratulations to our good friend and colleague who is with us frequently here on Fox Sports Ohio, voice of the UC Bearcats. As the call is not going to be overturned, no fan interference out there. But the voice of the UC Bearcats, both football and basketball, and the voice of the Cincinnati Bengals, Dan Horde, was introduced earlier today as a member of the 2019 Hall of Fame class at the University of Cincinnati.
Wow, good for Dan.
And class being the key word when it comes to Dan Horde. And it'll be a team that'll go in with him. The 2009 Cincinnati Bearcats football team. Big East champions, 12-0 regular season. Coached by Brian Kelly. I wound up calling that game of theirs down in the Sugar Bowl. They took on Urban Meyer and the Florida Gators. And of course, Urban Meyer's still at Florida, but Brian Kelly actually left the team before that game. I sure hope he comes back for that. I sure hope he does. I know there are a lot of UC fans that are still really upset at the way he left. But you'd like to think we're all at a point now where you can move on 11 years later. 2 down in the inning. But Dan Ord, congratulations.
Indeed, Dan. I've worked with him a couple of times on some Reds baseball telecasts.
Mm-hmm.
Does a great job, doesn't matter what sport he is. And, of course, he's been on our pre- and post-game Reds Live show many times.
One ball and one strike on Panic. And Zach Duke misses off the outside corner. Left field line and a foul ball. And we are being told that the University of Cincinnati Bearcats press release says that Brian Kelly is indeed expected to come back for that team that he coached that went undefeated going into the Bearcats Hall of Fame. That's a guy I thought was going to be named head coach of the Bengals.
Brian Kelly?
I did. I'd hire him in a heartbeat. A heartbeat to coach an NFL team. And that's strike three called. Excellent work by Zach Duke. He's starting to pick things up a little bit here. It's nice to see. Away on May the 18th. Dodgers will be in town. That'll be a 4:10 first pitch. Visit Reds.com/150. You have got to go back to August the 19th in 1893 when in the sixth inning of a game, of the hundreds of thousands of games, and a top and a bottom of a sixth inning in all of those games, 4 batters hit by a pitch in the sixth inning. The Boston Braves hit 4 times by Pittsburgh. 1893.
And maybe the most amazing thing, considering this Reds ball club and the makeup of its roster, is that Derek Dietrich was not one of those that was hit.
You're exactly right, after getting hit nearly 100 times during his tenure with the Marlins. So now a new pitcher takes over. It will be the left-hander Travis Bergen. Reds batting in the last of the 7th inning with a 12-4 lead, 9 outs away, now 6 outs away from a split of this 4-game series, and they're probably still kicking themselves downstairs that it's not 3 out of 4, if not 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
For the Giants pitching today, they've hit 4 batters. They've now walked 4 batters. And here's Kyle Farmer. Breaking ball, and there's a strike. Hot smash foul off the bat of Farmer, who has walked, stolen a base, scored a run, struck out twice, had an infield hit, and scored again.
You know, with Farmer in the lineup today as a second baseman getting a start out there, Peraza goes to left field, gets a start out there. You know, David Bell is the first manager of the last many managers the Reds have had who've actually followed up on what he said they would do at the beginning of the year.
Runner is out at second base. Close play there.
Hustling Yasiel Puig. It's a nice play by Sandoval. He dives and he knows you're only going to get one. And Panic plays it like a first baseman. He gets out of the way before Puig both legs get him. But I mean, what I meant was follow up on that is that every manager that the Reds have had have said, I'm going to get my extra guys plenty of at-bats. We're going to get them a couple of starts a week. We're going to make sure that they stay sharp. And then what happens is you get involved in the middle of the season and you forget all about that. And you stay with the same lineup day in and day out. And those extra guys end up being extra guys that only get pinch hit appearances. But David Bell has been really cognizant of that whole thing, and he has used his roster probably as much as anybody we've seen lately.
A balk was called before that ball was put in play.
Okay.
So you're wondering why Iglesias is still in the batter's box. That's a reason why. So the runner Farmer goes on to second base, and Iglesias has a chance to add to a big day. Triple, double, single. So you know what that means, right? A home run away, and if I'm not mistaken, I feel like we've said this forever and a day, the last Red to hit for the cycle was the great Eric Davis. And you got to go back a long time for that one. 1989. And we saw a guy as that one will drop Iglesias to the deck. Take a look at this. Right around chest high, went up around his neck.
Still a message to that pitch.
1-2 the count. Threw him a breaking ball and a tapper down to Sandoval. He's moving around pretty good down there at third. I know he's had a tendency to get big and has really fallen in and out of favor with the Giants baseball operations people and the manager Bochy, but he started now 3 games in a row, and we've seen him make some nice plays down there.
Well, he's agile for a big guy. I've always thought that the quest to have all of your baseball players look like they would be good in swimsuits is a little overrated. I'd rather see him be able to play ball and pitch, especially when it comes to pitchers. I mean, there was nobody the Reds had over the last few years who looked worse in uniform than David Wells, but man, could that guy pitch.
And of course, another guy that certainly comes to mind that wore a Giants uniform for a number of years was Rick Russell.
Yeah.
High fly ball into right by Casale, and the Reds are through in the 7th. We're off to the 8th. Reds lead big over the Giants. So much has been made about Sonny Gray not getting run support. Tyler Mahle is getting the 3rd lowest run support of any pitcher in the league, and those are the pitching matchups. And interesting there, Gray against his former team.
Well, everybody on that list has at one time or another not been very lucky with run support. Sonny Gray, very interesting to go back and pitch against your old team. He'll be the 2nd pitcher of the series.
How about Zach Duke running out there for a 2nd straight inning? And that's now Peraza, who's moved in from second base. First time that I can remember seeing Michael Lorenzen come in to play left field. We've seen him play center, now in the Sun field. Van Meter has moved over to third, with Peraza shifting from left field to second base. So now it'll be the catcher, Stephen Vogt. Why not leave him out there? 3 straight left-handed batters and get some more work in. And a weak pop-up to left field. And the ball does find Lorenzen. This is now what potentially the 5th outing in a row that Zach Duke has gone out there and not allowed a run. So perhaps for a guy who's struggled the early part of this year, maybe things are starting to come together.
This is kind of an unusual way to use him, except that the Giants have such a heavily left-handed laden lineup today. I mean, their first 4 hitters are left-handed. Then you have the switch hitter Sandoval, Pilar, and then 2 more lefties in a row. At least that was the starting lineup. So if you were, Zach Duke or Wandy Peralta or Amir Garrett coming into this series, you figure you're going to see some work.
And there's not a soul getting loose in the Reds bullpen right now. So they're going to let Zach try and get the final out here in the 8th. Four-pitch walk.
3rd time today that Belt has reached on a base on balls.
And he's batting .214. This will be the final out. Really good work by Zach Duke. Couple of scoreless innings. Champions going to France looking to win a 4th World Cup. And all the matches will be live on Fox and FS1. Dominant American team. Reds have hit 15 home runs in this series. That is the most ever by a Reds team in a single series at home. This ballpark or any other ballpark. And it's tied for the most ever in a single Reds series anywhere going back to Philadelphia, September of 1999. Pablo Sandoval is actually on now to pitch for the San Francisco Giants.
He's a veteran pitcher. I mean, if you consider a position player multiple times on the mound. He was out there last year. In fact, he pitched a clean 1-2-3 inning against the Dodgers back on April the 28th. That was a 15-6 loss, and he picks right up where the Giants pitchers left off there in the 6th inning.
Yeah, they hit 4 batters in that inning. This is one of the rules that, if you believe what you read, that Rob Manfred and company have discussed with the Players Union about position players pitching in games, and the spread would have to be 10 runs. If I remember reading that correctly, it would have to be 10 or more by a certain inning in a game. And Chris, I don't know how you feel about it. I could not be more against a rule like that than just about anything they've come up with in a long time. There are just certain situations where when you're a manager of a team, you risk injuring guys out in that bullpen. And of course, you're rolling the dice by getting your own guy hurt by putting a position player out there on the mound, but that's your call. But if you've been burning through guys in a bullpen and you're playing the next 17 days in a row and you want to get through this inning like the Giants want to get through in this inning, and it's an 8-run spread, you ought to be able to put the guy in the game.
I agree. I think it's just a needless rule. It just complicates things and dictates how you use your roster. I don't think that the rule book needs any more clarification there.
Van Meter finally getting a chance to swing the bat after a walk and being hit by a pitch with the bases loaded to get an RBI his first time up. Now, what do you think about that rule, about the 3-batter minimum?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, okay. That we'll put that on one shelf. Do you like that rule?
No, I don't like that rule either. Yeah. I just think, I'm kind of like Congress and laws. We got enough laws out there right now. Why don't we enforce the ones we have before we start making new ones? And I think that applies to baseball very well. Apply the strike zone a little bit better. Apply all the rules that are in the book, and I think you'd see a lot better pace of games.
Reds are gone in the 8th. Giants bat in the 9th. Baseball always live with MLB at bat. Follow the action with game tracking and video highlights. It's your #1 app for the Cincinnati Reds. Now taking over on the mound following 2 scoreless innings from the left-hander Zach Duke is another left-hander and Wandy Peralta. Wandy had a rough night the first night of this series. He came on in relief of Sonny Gray. Pitched 1 inning, gave up 4 hits and 4 runs, which began the Giants' comeback. Zach Duke, 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs. Struck out 2 and walked 1. Two and two the count on Pilar. And hooked foul down the third base line out of play. I want to thank Dick Williams. We were talking about, Chris, that rule proposal about position players pitching in a game, and the Reds president of baseball operations told me that proposal in 2020, that would be next year, forget a 10-run spread. They can only be used if the team is up or down by 6 runs.
The flaw there, and maybe there will be a clause in there that what if the game goes to an extremely long game? You're in the 18th or the 19th inning, and you're basically out of pitching, and it's a tight ball game. You're not allowed to use a position player who may have pitched in high school or college.
Nice pitch of the at-bat, and that's a strikeout for Wandy.
That is number 11 on the day. So back-to-back days now that fans at the ballpark here will be treated to some pizza. Going back to the rules, I just think they're just kind of coming up with new rules, and they're not necessarily needed right now. But we got a pretty good game of baseball right now. I'm not so sure the new rules are going to make it any better.
Nothing in one on Brandon Crawford. 0-2 on Crawford and a broken bat pop up. And the Giants are down to their final out. All right, so Chris, you have the games, the game Friday night, which was an 8-0 lead. You let it get away, you get beaten 11 innings. You come back, you steamroll them the next day. You got a big lead yesterday, you let that one get away. And you end up suffering the loss, but you turn right back around. Good bounce back game today. An out away from getting the win before you get to hit the road. And really, you're going to see some teams, 3 of the games against this team right here, that, the matchup's pretty good for you.
Well, the matchup's good because you're not facing a pitching staff like the Reds just faced in New York when you had Syndergaard on top of his game, Jacob deGrom throwing the ball extremely well. You know, the Reds have seen some very good pitching, and I think the theme of this whole homestand was offense. You know, you see you're getting Nick Senzel up here. He's obvious. He just really helped spark this offense. And you're scoring some runs where this ball club has not scored runs in consecutive games like they have in this series really all year long.
Mm-hmm. 5 or more runs in each of the 4-game series, and this should tie a ribbon around it. And it does. Good work by Duke and Peralta. And DeStefani gets a win to go to 2-1. Pomeranz a loser at 1-4. Reds win by a final count here today, splitting the 4-game homestand. 12-4 is our final. We're back in a moment.